Hello friends. Today we'll talk about a Spring Boot. So in the last video we saw a status API in a Golang, and today we'll see the similar status API in a Spring Boot, and we'll also talk about interface, DI, service layer, model layer, and API layer. That's also called controller layer. So in a Spring Boot framework, we have created the layer called controller, and in a Golang we have created the layer API. So after talking about each points, we'll also see and compare our Golang codes with the Spring Boot codes. And here is a link for day 2 Spring Boot project. And the next after this we'll talk to the configuration file, so that will be in the next video. So let's see that. So let me bring that to screen. Okay, and first run the project, and then we'll see that. So mvn spring boot run. So actually we have to be that folder, so day 2, and then it's a Java. Okay, now run the same command. Okay, inside the code. Okay, it ran, and we'll see that the port, so there's a port 8080, so it's running at port 8080. So let's see there, and here I have put the project. So if you hit this link, https github.com, Nandeshwar and uppercase, Golang and Java, where A uppercase and Java uppercase, tree master, day 2. So I have also given that link in a first PowerPoint presentation slides. Here let's run that. So our code project is running at port 8080. So localhost and 8080, and if I just hit like this, then it will give welcome to the world of Spring Boot Java. And there is an API that's called a status API. So API and status, so it will give the app name, app version, app status, up and running, uptime 63 seconds. Refresh this time will change. So we did exactly the similar thing in a last video with the help of Golang. So now we did in a Spring Boot. Let's see the code structure and how we have added the logic. Okay, so we'll start from the controllers, and we'll also compare with the Golang. So in a Golang there is a package called API, and here in a Spring Boot there is a package called controllers. So if I hit this controller, we see there are two controller, welcome controller and the status controller. So let's see the welcome controller. So that's the easiest one. So in this controller, this is the class, and on the top of the class we have to use the annotation. So this annotation indicates that okay, this is the REST controller. So that's we have to add here on the top of the class. And then so get mapping, so this is the get call, so that's why we have to add this annotation, get mapping. And the forward slash, that means when we hit the API localhost // and it produces JSON. but here we are just um, returning the string. Yeah, so that's why in a welcome, and it's returned the string, and it will return the string. So that's why when run that 8080 and forward slash, okay, we'll see the welcome to the world of Spring Boot. So this is, uh, it seems, a little bit easier compared to Golang, because in a Spring Boot we are achieving the similar stuff with help of controller, and this annotation controller and the get mapping. In a Golang, actually in a Golang, we are writing the code, and here also when we return, then we have to convert to the JSON, and then we have to return. But this time, all the magic is, under this annotation, REST controller and get mapping. Let's see a status controller. So in a status controller, on the top we'll see this REST controller, that's one annotation, and then under that, this is the main function where we are calling like API status. So we are giving the URL here, so that's why we'll hit the same URL. So localhost 80 and API and status, and then we'll get the data. So, and for this also we are saying, okay, it's going to return application JSON, and in this return statement we are calling the function app info from the status service. And we'll see here we are creating the object status service, but if you see, we are not giving anything like new and status service. We are creating the service in a little bit different way. We are using the annotation auto wired. So here we internally, the dependency injection is happening. How the dependency injection works here, let's see. So this status controller, this class, needs the object of a status service, and if you see, we have not used the new status service, so we are not creating the object here. What we are doing, we are just using annotation autoware, but this object has been created already by a Spring Boot, and then we are saying, okay, I need that object to wired with this. So in that way we'll get this object here. So in this way we are injecting the dependency of a status service. We are injecting that object to this class, a status controller class. So we know that, okay, status controller class depends on a status service, because we are going to call the status service API info. We need some data, API name and all those, and for that we need the object, and we see that object is getting auto wired here. Where is that object created? So let's see that. So now we have the service layer here, so we'll go to the service layer, and in the service layer we'll see there are two, like one class and one interface. So the first one is interface, and this is the class implementation. So in a status service we'll see the same function app info. So there will be the signature of app info, but there won't be any logic, and this is the implementation of that signature. So go to this interface, and we'll see that, okay, there's a function name is app info, and it will return the status. So this is just a signature. We have not given any logic for that. So how it's working, we have added that logic in a status service IMPL. So if you open this, and we'll see that, okay, this class implements a status service. So actually this class is implementing this service, and this service has a function. That function name is called app info. So in order to implement that function, we have to define the the functionality for that function. So that's app info, and in app info we are calling some function rb here, like management factory get run time max bin, and with this help of this we are getting the uptime, like rb get uptime, and so divide by 1000 and that becomes seconds. We are adding the units in this object. So a status, we are creating the object of a status here. That object is inside the model. So model, if you see the status, we have all the fields. So go here, and in a status we'll see all the fields: app name, app version, app status, uptime, and we have created the getter and setter functions. And we know how to create and getter setter functions. If you don't know, I can just show it quickly, even though I can delete all those. And what I do from here, I click and I do right click. And by the way, this is the IntelliJ, that's the community version. So the community version of IntelliJ that works. So right click here, then we'll go to the refactor and then encapsulate fields. Again, click here. So we need the getter function and setter function and refactor. So now we'll see all the the getter function and setter function generated, and we need this. Okay, so we'll come back to the service sample. So that's why I created the object of that's DTO, that's a data transfer object, and I set that object with required value. So I need the name of the application. So we see the name of the application we are getting from POM file. So the build properties get name, build properties get version, up and run, and this is string. And then here we are setting the uptime. Let's see, it's a get name and a get version. So if I bring this screen here, you'll see there's a version 010 and the app name is code. So I have not hard coded the app name, I have not hard coded the version, so it's coming from somewhere, and that is POM XML. So let's see the POM XML. So in a POM XML, if you see at the top here, it's a 010, that's version, and that's an app name is code. So how to get this value in a code? So that's the way. So service sample, we have to create like the build properties. We have to auto wire the build properties, and we can do that. So in order to use the build properties here in this class, we have to do a little bit extra work in a POM XML, and let's see that. So in a POM XML, we have to add a few things, that is the plugins. So this plugin is responsible for that. So if you use this plugin and then we use the build properties, then you can get all this info like the version and the app name. And here you see this application is running at port 8080 and it's using the Tomcat. And how we have done that, so we have actually added the dependency here. So the dependency is this one. So for the Spring Boot, if you add a Spring Boot starter web or the Spring framework.boot, and that's all. So that's all the magic is behind this dependency. And then when we start our application, it will start the Tomcat. So Tomcat is inbuilt here. If you remember in the past, if you have used the Spring, we have to start the Tomcat separately. So that's not the case here. So Spring Boot has made these steps very easy. Okay, so that's all the things we discussed, how to create the status API. Now once again let's go and see the Golang code and then refine a little bit. So let me stop this. Let me bring that code, Golang code. Okay, I'll see the path first. Okay, that is in code. So from the day 2, actually I have bring that actually I have brought that that folder under the source here. So let's see the code. That's exactly same code, and then we'll start from the main, and inside the main we have given all the informations here, like the which port we want to run, app name and app version. So that's there. And this is, this is the line, or say like this is the line which starts the server. It's a start the HTTP server, so that we can see the page here. Like let's start this once again. It's a go run and cmd, it's a code, and under that main go. It's running at port 9000. Bring this screen once again and replace this with a 9000, and we'll see the same data. The code 010 up running 8 seconds, the similar thing. So that's written in a Golang. Okay, let's see a little bit inside this, what's inside the run. So inside the run, if you go this function, run function, and before that this API server is a object. So this is the way how we create the object. So I have created separate video in another that's a folder that is, so you can see that, we can check out, that's the video is there, that is under, like, it's a random programming concepts. So this is let me show that, where is that actually. So it's let's open, or I can search this advanced Golang advanced interface concept, and we'll see that video is here. So yeah, so that's the video, Golang interface, and in this video I have talked, how to create the object, how to expose the function. So like go here and see this video clearly, and you'll get the clear picture what is happening. So based on that, let's see, where is that screen? Okay, so in that way, I have created the server here. So we'll go to the server, new server, and check a little bit. So inside the server, actually this is the one struct, and in this struct I have given HTTP port that I want to run the application on that port. So that's a one variable, and this is the standard server where I pass, this is the HTTP server that's coming from the library, and we do not need this for now, so just remove that. And in a status service, this is a, actually we want HTTP port, we want the server, and we also want the data. So that's data we are getting from this object, and this object is inside the status service. We'll go there and check that, but let's check here. So here I'm creating the router, mux new router, and in a server I'm just configuring like how I want to start my server. So I want to say that I want to start the server at port 9000, so that's the HTTP port. So that's why, when we call this function in a main, we'll pass the HTTP port, and when we get that port, we just put it here. So address handler, and in that way. So this is the, then we got that data in this server here, and then we are returning that object like server. So see here, we're returning the server. So this server, so all this informations we are returning there, and we are also binding the URL with actual function here. So in this case, we'll come down a little bit and we'll see under this server we have included the function called run. So see, this is the server. So in this way, how to include some function in a struct. So this is the way we have to give the struct name and object. So this is the way, and so this is the run function. We do not need this. Actually, I have used this the go routine here. So for now, just remove the go routine. I will show you that whenever it's required, but for now just remove this go routine and wait here, this thing, save that, and we can get rid of this error. We can define the variable, so just make it a little bit smaller. This one also we do not need. So see, so this function is part of this struct. So in the server, so server, we'll see the server, and then this way this part of server. So if you create the object of this server, then we can easily call this function to start our HTTP server. So in this way we'll start the HTTP server. Once we start the HTTP server, then when we hit this API status, it's going to call the status. This is the function. So this status function is also part of this server. I can write that function here itself, but for the clarity, just I have given that function here in a status API go. So if I open the status API go, we'll see this function, and then we have associated that function under server. So we'll see the server. Okay, so API go, see here, there's a server, and that function is a status, and we are giving the status, we are giving the server here. So in that way we have added the status function under the struct, and in this function we are calling that get API status. We get the data API status, and that's the object, and we are doing some extra job. That's the magic of the annotation in a Spring Boot. We do not have that magic here. So manually what we are doing, we are converting that object to the JSON, so marshalling that, and then we are returning, like write, returning that to a browser. So that's the stuff, and yeah, that's all. And we can see a little bit how we are calling the S status. So S is the object under the server struct. We'll see there is a status service. So go here, and under the server there is a status service. So we are calling this variable, and with the help of that variable we are calling this get API status. So that's get API status is coming from that variable. So that variable type is a status service. So if I open that status service, that is the interface. So where is this? That's in a services. So if I go here, I'll see that's a status service will be interface here. See, that's a status service interface, and we are exploring only the function called get app status. So get app status is actually, that is the function of struct status. That's function of that is, and then but we are exploring this through interface. So that's also example is another separate video. You can go and watch that video and we'll get the idea how we are doing that. Okay, so that's all about this status API. So we have done good job. We have a status API in a Golang. We have written the code for the status API in a Spring Boot. Go and try this program and try to understand the flow, and then next we'll talk about the config things. So that's all for today. Okay, thank you.